everyone starts as equals. Everyone starts wanting to get the same goal. And I think as soon as you start second guessing yourself and doubting yourself and not having that raw self-belief in what you've done and what you want to do, I think that's where it'll be your downfall.
Welcome everybody. It's been a while since the last interview, and Dylan mentioned in that interview that he would like to see Matt up next. And as you can probably tell from the title, Matt is the athlete being interviewed today. Whilst the athletes in the past have been up and coming junior and under 23 triathletes, Matt is still 22, but has accomplished quite a few pretty cool things in the sport already, some of which include winning the Junior World Championships, competing at the Com Games, coming fourth individually, and first in the mixed team relay. He's been part of a World Championship winning mixed team relay. He races on a WTS circuit and Super League. So Matt has definitely done some pretty amazing things already, only being 22. And I'm sure a lot of people can get a lot of value out of today's interview. So please enjoy. All right, welcome Matt. Thank you very much for coming onto the channel. Do you want to start off with a little bit about where you grew up and then where you are now?
Yep. G'day, Mitch. Good to be here, mate. I'm 22. I'm originally from Hervey Bay, Queensland, so a bit further north in the Gold Coast. And then, I moved down about just over 5 years ago now to start triathlon, properly start triathlon, and to also study at Griffith University as well. So enjoying it down here. And
did you always plan on making that move?
Yeah, I think so. It kind of got to a stage where Hervey Bay was good for my development phase, but I think to take it up to that next level in my career, I needed to join a bit more of a professional environment. I know Brian Harrington up there, who kind of coached the likes of like myself, Tate Dixon, Christian Wilson, a few of the names that might ring out to a few of the school sport guys. But it was a good environment down there. But I think to move up to that next level and certainly progressing into like the elite and senior years, it was important for me to move down here. So.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So we're going to do sort of like a quick 10 questions so that people can sort of get to know you a little bit. Cool. The first one being swim, bike or run. Which one's your favorite?
I would say run, definitely. Yeah, just because I think if you're running well, like if you're in a good run form, then you're like happy. You're very happy, like you're in a good mood. Whereas if you're swimming and biking well, it's like, yeah, it's good, but you really want your run there. So I would say the run for sure.
Yeah, can't disagree with that one.
Yeah.
And your favorite race location?
Favorite race location? I would say in Australia, it'd have to be Mooloolaba. It was definitely, a highlight every year that I go to race there. The crowds are always so awesome, and they get up so close and personal with the little funnel shoot towards the finish line. So that would be one of the better races in Australia. And I think in the circuit, I really like Hamburg. Hamburg was one of my favorites, especially being my second WTS ever competing there. It was a bit of a cool kind of change to experience the Europe culture. But then I'll give you a third one. It was Lausanne as well, because Lausanne was pretty bloody incredible with those crowds and that epic hill as well. So it's three.
Yeah. And your favorite training location?
Gold Coast.
Yep. And do you have a favorite international training location?
Probably Girona. Yeah. I was in Victoria for a couple of years there with kind of our squad was kind of following around Jamie Turner's squad for a bit. But yeah, I think when I kind of explored myself last year, doing the Super League races, and Tyler Misselchuk and I got a chance to kind of stay there for a month or two and got to experience the Girona culture, and it was pretty incredible, and certainly a lot to do in Old Town, and a lot of like good rides, and you can see why a lot of the pro cyclists and pro triathletes like base up there as well. So yeah, probably Girona.
Yeah, it does look pretty cool.
Yeah.
And your go-to coffee?
Double shot flatty. Yeah, for sure. Not too much milk, but just get the strength in there.
Yeah. And on the WTS circuit, who do you think is the most entertaining athlete?
Oh, I don't know. That's tough. It's tough. I would have to say at the moment, Hayden Wild, because you just never know what he's going to pull out of the bag, and he's always improving year by year, exponentially, which has just been crazy to see. But it's always good to see a young guy, mixing up with the elite of the elite. And I think for him to bring our wave of youth through into the WTS circuit and to kind of lead the charges, it's been pretty cool to see. And certainly with his dynamic bike and run, it's been good for him.
Yeah. And who's your most admirable triathlete, like past or present?
I've always said Javier Gomez, just because of his consistency. I'm sure he's a fan favorite for a lot of people, but just his consistency and his ability to be so consistent throughout his like long career. Like he's spanning like over 20, probably just under 20 years now, but yeah, he's been pretty incredible and always at the top. So, but I would probably say in Australia, I would say Courtney Atkinson as well. I've always kind of looked up to him, and he was actually my mentor going into the Youth Olympic Games in 2014. So we're all kind of allocated a mentor, and he was mine. So I kind of, even though I didn't go and compete because I smashed my shoulder up, it was kind of good to have him to kind of bounce ideas off and to help me through that journey. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And if you weren't doing triathlon, what sport do you think you would be doing?
I'd like to say AFL, although like I'd have to put quite a bit of meat on to play AFL now. I think the shoulders will get battered in and a few concussions along the way as well. But yeah, I've always enjoyed playing AFL. I probably stopped around 14 or 15 when I left the Bay. But yeah, still watch it to this day, and probably, yeah, either AFL or cricket, I reckon, two of the big sports. So
yeah. And favorite YoPro flavor?
Depends what I'm having it with. If I'm just having it on its own, I reckon banana is probably one of the better ones.
Yeah.
But if I'm having it with like cereal or something like that, probably just like the plain or vanilla. So
right. And what's the hardest training day in your week?
Hardest training day, probably like Saturday, I guess. There was a period there where we were doing kind of like a 100k plus bike with pretty solid track run off, and then a bit of a tempo threshold session in the afternoon as well in the swim. So yeah, that would probably be the most loaded day for sure. Nice.
And sort of in between sessions, what's one thing you like to spend your downtime doing?
Well, during this kind of period where we haven't been doing as much training, I've been finding myself going out for fishing trips with my mates and just kind of exploring the spots on the coast. So that would definitely have to be one of them. I grew up fishing with my dad a lot when I was younger in Harvey Bay. So to kind of explore the Gold Coast area has been cool to do something different. Then also just go to the beach. I've been trying out surfing. I'm not very good, but trying to give that a crack because I thought may as well. I live on the Gold Coast, so I'll give it a crack, but no luck yet.
Yeah. So we'll move on a little bit now. So Matt, when you're at school, I believe you won the 4 School Sport Australia titles, and then after school you progressed on to, or you still would have raced like a junior world champs in school, I think, but then you progressed on to winning junior world champs, and then competing at major games, the Com Games, coming 4th there individually, winning the relay. What was that sort of progression like, moving from a national Australia level to an international junior level, and then I guess racing some of the best people in the world?
Yeah, I guess it was pretty surreal. I kind of happened, like, looking back on it now, I kind of took a lot of things for granted because it just happened. So I'll take a bit of water. It happened so seamlessly, I guess, for me, which I'm really lucky about, because when I came into that kind of youth and junior category and like racing, like school sport, it was the NTA, the National Triathlon Academy. That was kind of the pinnacle of for junior people in Australia to kind of aim towards, and to get those bike and swim the swim and run time trials, and to kind of like make a name for yourself in the junior circuit. So that was like really important growing up and trying to achieve those times. And like, luckily I had a good opportunity to get those times and to kind of be thrown straight into the system in Triathlon Australia. So I was really lucky in that aspect, where I had some success early on, and then I was kind of like brought up just through the mix, slowly but surely. Yeah, you mentioned about Rotterdam, my first junior world title. That was pretty special, but it also came after a lot of learning. Obviously, the year before I got 45th in Cozumel, so that wasn't too fantastic. But yeah, I guess ups and downs, but a lot of learning along the way. And I think to kind of fine tune my skills and my strategies, I guess, from like some raw talent into some actually like putting in some good performances was part of the process as well. So yeah, a lot of hard work, but yeah, good to finally be somewhat achieving some things in my career, and hopefully onwards and upwards from here.
Yeah, and you mentioned that there was a lot of learning in there. If you had to go back and maybe change one thing, would there be anything that you would change?
I don't know. I think I don't actually reckon I would change anything, just for the simple fact that I believe like everything happens for a reason, and I think there's always a good to a bad, and I think like, even downfalls I've had, like my shoulder injury in 2018 after the Commonwealth Games, and yeah, coming 45th in Cozumel, I think that just made me grow as a person, I think, and I didn't really look at it as a bad thing, so to speak, even though it was at the time. I looked at it as an opportunity to grow. And I think that's what's the important thing to take out of bad situations, and to kind of come back from adversity, and to know that, especially when you're younger, there's a whole lot of racing, a whole lot of triathlon ahead of you. I mean, you don't really typically peak until your late 20s, early 30s. So yeah, I think to take everything slowly, and to be patient with things, and to know that, yeah, there's a good with every bad. So yeah, that would probably be my biggest message to take out of, like, yeah, what I kind of went through as a junior, for sure.
Yeah. And yeah, so you sort of just mentioned it, but over the past couple of years, I guess you've had your shoulder problem, and I think you had a wrist one too.
Yeah.
And even back in 2014, you mentioned before, another shoulder problem.
Mm.
They were all sort of accidental injuries, I think. But I guess injury is part of the sport. Coming back from those, what was that process like?
It was certainly very, very tough. I guess being so involved in the Triathlon Australia system, though, I was nurtured through it all. So I was very, very well taken care of. I got a lot of support here on the Gold Coast with the QAS and TA facilities, and human resources like physio, massage, nutritionist, psychologist as well. So yeah, I think although it was tough, and it was certainly a bit of a personal battle as well, there was a lot of love and support around me, which I really relish. And yes, sometimes I find myself being a bit too independent and being too sure of myself. But during those periods, I think it was good to kind of call on some resources and some help from outside my circle as well, to help me through those periods and stuff like that. So yeah, that would be kind of how I go back from those.
Thank you. And Matt, so right now, what does a typical training week for you look like? On your social media, you seem to be putting up some pretty cool photos of like some rides and all of that that you've been doing. So yeah, what does a typical week look like?
At the moment, yeah, I guess it's a little bit stunted because of COVID, and we're just kind of returning back to some group training. But during the COVID-19 period and lockdown and self-isolation, I kind of quite enjoyed taking a step away from the squad that we have. I really relish the times that we're together and working as a team towards a common goal. But it's also nice to kind of take a step back from that environment to kind of try some new things, and to kind of stimulate the mind and the body a little bit more during this period where it's like a little bit more mundane and there's not much racing ahead of you. So I've kind of been just exploring a few things with riding, taking like different off the beaten tracks. Just like exploring a bit of gravel. I'm going to try and get a gravel bike, hopefully. So that could be pretty cool to explore the Gold Coast hinterland with. Just trying different things and not putting too much pressure on things. At the moment, I guess I'm probably swimming. We're in the pool maybe 4 times a week now, and then doing 1 or 2 gym sessions a week, depending on programming. And then I'm trying to hold about 75 to 80 Ks of running a week. And I have been doing that for the past 8 or 9 weeks, I guess, with some, not a lot of quality in there, but just some kind of threshold build work. I did do a bit of quality leading up to my 5K time trial, but that was kind of just based around a small little performance goal like that. And then also on the bike, I've only really been doing up over 200 Ks a week for like the past 3 or 4 weeks. So I've kind of been taking that more of a steady run, more focused on my run because of loading and injury management. So to try and keep that up there towards a consistent level, so I'm not ebbing and flowing too much and risking injury. So at the moment, the bike's kind of aimed around doing the same thing, whereas I'm building it up to being about 300 to 350 Ks a week. So and that'll be 3 to 4 rides with some hills and inclinations as well. So that would be a typical week at the moment.
Okay, yeah. And that 5K time trial that you just mentioned, I believe you ran 14:02.
03. Well, yeah. Well, Strava says 14:03. I think it was like on the watch a little bit over 5K for like 14:07, but yeah.
Right. And was that something you just sort of agreed with Dan, your coach, to go and do?
Yeah, well, I guess it was like not much racing like in the near future. I think it was kind of important for me to kind of zone in on a small performance target. And I think with my consistent running weeks leading up to it, I found it a really good opportunity to try and bash out a good time, as is Richard Murray, as is others of the sort. So I found it a good time to see what I had and to go off the back of what I've been doing in kind of like solo and solo sessions with myself, like away from the group, to see what kind of training suited the style of running I have. So kind of just set that, and the aim was to go around 14:10, and thankfully I split it pretty evenly and then dropped the last K, and like I think it was like 2:39 or something like that. So yeah, and almost got sub 14, but we'll might have a crack in a few months time or something again.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. 14:03, it's pretty quick. And so Matt, when racing does like eventually resume, whenever that might be, what do you think the goals will look like? Fingers crossed that the Olympics do happen and all of that.
Yeah, I think for me, at the moment, the only race that's important to me is the Olympics and trying to make the Olympic team. With not much racing on the horizon, I think a lot of it will come down to discretion and past years racing as well. I'm not sure how much more the selectors could look at or see in terms of available racing to a world standard. I've kind of heard murmurs of a bit of an Oceania series in September. Possibly based on the Gold Coast, and also a Conti in or Oceania Champs in Penrith, which would be good. And to kind of see how everyone is and to kind of get back into that racing feel, because it's been so long. Typically triathletes only take like 3 or 4 months off racing, and it's the rest of the year is just full on head down, bum up. So yeah, it'll be good for everyone to kind of see each other again and to be in that environment again. But also I think I'm thinking bigger picture at the moment. So although I'll try and get fit for those races, I'm not kind of too stressed about them or too worried about them. I think, we'll do what we can do, but Olympics is a big goal at the moment.
Yeah. Hopefully, those races do go ahead, and obviously the Olympics too.
Sure. Yeah.
So the second last thing, Matt, is there one person that you would like to see interviewed on the channel?
You said just anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to see Alex Yee interviewed. I think he's a really nice guy, and he's a bit of a cheeky guy as well. And I just any tips on running he could give would be sick. Yeah, especially running a 27:50. That'd be really good.
All right. Yeah.
I reckon Alex Yee, if you can get him.
Yeah, I'll send him a message. I did meet him at the Gold Coast world champs. So
Perfect. Yeah. Well, there you go.
hopefully that
You got
might
the foot in
help.
the door,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah.
For sure. Sweet.
Um, and the last thing, you sort of mentioned it earlier with the advice for younger athletes, but if you wanted to reiterate that, like what's a bit of advice you'd give to younger athletes, and then probably older athletes as well, because I guess everybody respects you as a triathlete.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I guess in terms of racing advice would just be to like back yourself, and to toe the line, believing that all you've done in training and everything that you've put in time and effort into like will count on race day. But it's also everyone starts as equals. Everyone starts wanting to get the same goal. And I think as soon as you start second guessing yourself and doubting yourself and not having that raw self-belief in what you've done and what you want to do, I think that's where it'll be your downfall. So I think, especially like from personal experience, having a bit of success as a younger junior in the elite field, it's definitely all about self-belief and believing in yourself, and exactly, knowing that everyone's in the same position and everyone's got the same opportunity as you to win the race. And I think that's very important when you're starting ITU races, and like there's a pack of like 60 or 70 guys jumping into the same body of water, and you're going to get bashed up, you're going to get beaten up. But I think if you've got that self-belief and that drive and will to push forward, maybe you don't get as bashed up, maybe you get a clear bit of water, and maybe you make the front pack and maybe you run into 10th, or but just to keep headstrong, I guess, would be my biggest bit of advice.
Yeah, thank you. That's really good advice.
Yeah.
Matt, thank you so much for coming onto the channel. I really appreciate you spending the time and coming on. I'm sure a lot of people will get a lot of value out of this interview. So thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Mitch. Thanks for having me.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed that interview. It was pretty cool to get Matt on. I do look up to Matt as a triathlete, and there was some really good advice in there. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you are enjoying the training videos and the interviews. The next interview, that'll be in a couple of weeks. Fingers crossed it'll be with Alex. We'll just have to see with that. Other than that, thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next week.